Hertzler.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone in election land. It's Alec with General Martok, aka JG Hertzler, and Crystal Hubbard down below there. So welcome all to the unofficial Axanar coverage of the 2024 presidential and other elections. How you doing tonight here, JG?
The unofficial reportage of the most important election in the history of this once great nation. 258 years or 248 years of
we're 2 years short of the what do they call the 250th anniversary? Not the bicentennial, obviously, is something else.
I don't know, but it was for it all to come to this. It's just that smiling. It is the epitome of Shakespeare's words, smiling villain. That's Hamlet, of course, which I've never done and never will do because I'm just a touch long in the tooth. This tooth right there.
Famous line, too old to play Hamlet. And it's usually spoken by the actor who formerly played Hamlet, who now has to play Polonius.
Oh, right.
Well, we're gonna chat about the election. Some of us are gonna drink alcohol. Some of us who lose may be drinking more alcohol. But
I do like me some alcohol, but I don't have any. All I have is some little bit of tequila, but I don't have any scotch. I've got beer.
Tequila.
I do.
Maybe I should get the beer. That might be refreshing.
Might be.
What do you have there?
I got a margarita.
Oh, that's what I want. Margaritas. That's the only really thing I like because of all the the juiciness of it. It's just fabulous. But
some of the regulars are stopping by. We got some new people too. Hey there. I hate people's names.
Come on, that's good.
Aren't pronounceable, so I don't know what Sarah Mitber.
And was that Jeffrey? Oh no, that wasn't Jeffrey.
I have no idea. And then we have Silax Vinor. I don't know. David Moon. I think you're new here, are you? It's good to see you. It's Sally. Wait, Sally Marshall? Is that our Sally? Is that at the beating heart of Axanar itself? Sally Marshall? Please tell me.
There's another Sally, but either
is that,
I'm very happy to see.
Not Sally Marshall. Which Sally is it?
Yeah.
Sally Marshall is the widow of Steve Einat, who played the original Garth of Izar in the 1960s. And she's up in Asheville, of course, North Carolina. So, but I know she took ill recently, so we're hoping she's doing well. Here's some other Kenny Wood.
Well, Asheville was just obliterated a little bit.
I've got a bunch of friends up in Asheville, actually.
Yeah, I have Peter Schumann, my friend, is up there. I haven't talked to him.
Wow. All right. And Craig is. We're going to get right into it. Craig, his mother was born and raised in Nuremberg.
Man, she always warned us what happened in Germany could happen here. We always laughed at her. Not possible. No, this is America.
Well, now we know better.
Ein Americana.
Yeah, that's right. If anything, we listen, and I think that's the truth, JG. I mean, if we've learned anything, we've learned that authoritarianism can take hold anywhere because we have, a whole group of people in this country that are willing to follow Donald Trump over the cliff into
Over the
authoritarianism.
cliff to fascism. Yeah, absolutely right. No, it's astounding. I wish everybody, but they, of course, most of the deep followers, besides Stephen Miller, who is I don't know, he's Jewish. You know, his main advisor, Stephen Miller, is Jewish, and he hates Jews, and he hates liberals.
Seems to hate everyone.
And he is the most fascistic, authoritarian-minded person that I've ever seen in politics. Bannon is a clown. Bannon is a screaming Mimi. But Steve Miller is a quiet, like sticks the stiletto right into things. And it's
yeah. So it's really interesting. I don't know if there's the big news group for former Republicans, never Trumpers as they're called, is the Bulwark. It's a media group that started. Charlie Sykes started it, in Minnesota years ago, and it's become really a force in conservative, not just conservative, but anti-Trump media. And Tim Miller is the guy that does the daily podcast. He's all over MSNBC. He was just on Bill Maher's show. And he's very interesting what he says about Steve Bannon, because Steve Bannon really is the smartest guy in that group. He's a really smart guy, and doesn't buy into Trump's bullshit. He's always seen
he's such
Trump
a thug. Steve Bannon, I guess that's a strange combination, and it's not the first time. He's such a thug, and he's also, as you say, brilliant. They don't usually go together.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely true.
If I don't know if these people haven't read, certainly Steve Bannon has read it, and Steve Miller has read it. Trump hasn't read even a comic book, I don't think, from cover to cover. But Sinclair Lewis's "It Can't Happen Here" is a treatise on what's happened right now in this country. Do you know that book?
I do not.
Oh, "It Can't Happen Here" is a novel that Sinclair Lewis wrote in 1935, and there was a radio dramatic version done of it that was done on 26. There's something. There 26 radio stations across the country right before the inauguration of FDR for his second term. And it was read by actors from Hollywood and New York. And some say that it sort of guaranteed FDR's reelection. But it's a story about a small town newspaper editor in Vermont that is basically, by the end of it, he's in a prison camp in far upstate New York, a prison camp of the authoritarian presidents that, basically he says, and Trump's done the same thing. He said, "You are the enemy within." And that's right. That's what he was found guilty of, printing the truth about the dictator, who therefore puts him in prison. Anyway, "It Can't Happen Here" is a great novel. And I did a reading of it, a couple of readings here in upstate New York. It's so much work to do a reading. It's so much work to do anything anymore. Getting from here to the kitchen is just about the amount of work that I want to take on any one time.
It's amazing. A couple people, including one of my good friends who's a hardcore right-wing MAGA guy, Don Gaffney. You know Don Gaffney.
Yeah.
Yeah, Don. I love Don, but he's just totally it's not just that he's drunk the Kool-Aid of Trump, but he regurgitates all their talking points. So like he's trying to tell me that Kamala Harris is a fascist, and I'm like, and I didn't engage. I just kind of put there's a great chart of what all of Trump's generals say about him.
Yeah,
with the exception of Flynn. And and I said that to him. I said, your superior officers in the military who actually had experience with Trump disagree. But the thing is, when every single kind of authority expert on authoritarianism in this country just can read off the list and tell you, here's Trump. He demonizes the media. He demonizes his enemy. He makes he uses the others. Right? It's always the others. It's always the immigrants. It's whoever. He's always creating enemies, and then identifies the enemy within. He's all about deconstructing, the administrative state. All these things that are textbook authoritarianism. They are literally it's exactly what Mussolini did. It's exactly, what Franco did. It's exactly what Hitler did. Meanwhile, what's Kamala Harris doing? They're all saying, oh, she waged a coup against Biden to kick him out. Biden left on his own accord. He left because there was pressure on him saying you're not up to this, which he clearly was not.
Oh, yeah. Anybody who saw that debate, it wasn't a failure. It wasn't a bad debate. It was a frightening collapse of a mind of a once great man. His mind stopped. There was just no way he could go on.
No, there wasn't. And listen, I think I finally got over my dislike of Nancy Pelosi and realized what a genius she really is. On the way she handled that whole thing. Right. She handled it masterfully. The way she did not pressure him. She didn't go public with anything. But as she says, she just said, what's the plan? Show me how you're going to win, because you're not. And he finally came to that realization. And we'll see. Listen, before you and I monopolize it, let Crystal talk, since this election is really about women, right, Crystal?
There certainly seem to be a lot of experts who are pointing at, and first thing to take into account is that you have a lot of experts out there who also have a lot invested in which way they would like this to go. So taking that into account, I still believe that a lot of them are putting forward good numbers, that a lot of people who are, let's say, an expert pollster, let's say somebody who's just built up a reputation for consistently making good calls when it comes to elections, especially ones that seem to be too close to call, and yet they've been right. They are absolutely saying, especially in key areas, it is coming down to women. So the question becomes, because it makes the news when a woman is a deep-rooted Trump voter, but it also makes the news when a woman speaks out against him. So there's the extremes, right? So how about everybody in the middle? So how about everybody that has a different view? How about everybody from a different community? What are they going to be swayed by? Are they going to be swayed by the fact that abortion is now a heated subject again and having real life effect on what could be the next couple generations of women if things don't change? Are they being swayed by the clear misogyny and dangerous language being used against women? Again, openly by politicians in very key positions. Are they being swayed by a change in attitude in their own neighborhoods? Are they being swayed by the fact that their children can't safely go to school? What would make a woman who is in the middle pick Trump or Harris? Because we're not talking about the people who were always going to vote for Harris. We're not talking about the people who were always going to vote for Trump. you're talking about the people that we can't predict, right? Especially the women. And everyone has their opinion about a woman who would vote for Trump or a woman who would never vote for Trump. Everybody has their opinion on that, whether you're for it or against it. So that's what people are continuing to talk about right now. And I don't know. I think it depends on where the woman is from. And I think it would depend on her own personal history, even if she's not that vocal about it.
Well, I think one of the things they're talking about, a bunch of, there's been so much noise about the Ann Seltzer poll in Iowa. Ann Seltzer is like the number one pollster in the country.
Right.
Last time she missed an election was 2004. And when you see, when they matched up all her polling against actual results, and it's uncanny how close she is all the time. Well, she's got Kamala up by 3 in Iowa, which is insane.
And she's
because I think Biden was losing by like 18 points in Iowa.
Yeah.
And,
it was
but when you look at, as they say, look at the cross-types, you look at the data, Harris is insanely overperforming with older white women.
Say senior. Just say senior.
Seniors.
There you go.
And it's crazy how much and so I think that and that's just, they're not worried about the Dobbs decision for themselves, maybe, but they're worried about it for their kids or their grandkids or whoever. And I think the rights of women, you know, on the one hand, you have those on the right wing who all want their, who think their wives all need to be staying home barefoot and pregnant. But that's not what the female populace in this country believes anymore.
Well,
the majority of women think,
Well, here you have two different things. You have senior women and college age women. You have women voting for the first time, getting to vote for a president for the first time, and you have senior women who may be changing what they always voted for before. So two totally different reasons for doing that. To a point. One, it could be young women who want to maintain or change. Let me say this. They want to maintain the rights that they believe that they know they've had forever and may be worried about those being taken away. And it might be that they want to change what they saw happen the last 10 years while they were even if they were just kids before they could vote. For senior women, how many of them are voting differently because they can feel the past creeping up and coming back? How many of them are having flashbacks of horrible things that happened to their friends, even if it didn't happen to them or something that happened to them before? So it's curious because there's a difference between people who are voting against Trump and people that are voting for Harris. It's the same vote, but those are two different reasons for doing it. Does that make sense?
Well,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, JG.
So many things, and his discussion of the women's votes, Trump's discussion of women and their voting behavior and their behavior, period, is so absurd. I mean, he says things that are just so appalling. People can't. I don't think people can process it. And if you're a Trump supporter, you don't even hear it.
They don't hear it.
But he says things like, so it's like, oh, women love me, love me, and I love women. Meanwhile, he's a convicted rapist. He's
adjudicated rapist. There's actually a difference.
Oh, an adjudicated.
He was convicted of sexual assault, but the judge said that was the same thing as rape. So technically, he was convicted of sexual assault. However, the judge's comments, people are using the term adjudicated rapist.
Gotcha. So he was convicted of a sexual assault.
Yeah, right.
But he was adjudicated of rape.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
That's the term of art that seems to be
The term of art. You damn lawyers.
Journalism.
You know, first Shakespeare said it for good reason. It was by Dick the Butcher, by the way, in Henry VI, Part 3, where one of the peasant leaders says, "First, we kill all the lawyers."
I love that line. I had that on a keychain. That being said, Alec and I have a couple of great attorneys, but the sad thing is we feel
Lord, yes,
the exception, not the rule. However, we love ours.
Yeah, no. Doesn't matter. They all have to go. Sorry, that's just the way it is. My sister's a lawyer. My Chevy is a lawyer. Yeah.
Alec is technically an inactive attorney. So.
I'm a lawyer.
I understand. I went through 9 months of law school at at American University, Washington School of Law. And I said, this is not for me.
No,
that's when I got into a community theater production. That's when I made the shift.
And by the way, we should just mention that. Listen, everyone, all fans are welcome here. Whether you voted for Trump or you're voting for Harris, or someone here voted for Jill Stein. By
the way, who is Jill Stein? I mean, that should be a theme of a meme. Who is Jill Stein?
Well, let me tell you, she's the Green Party candidate, and even the Green Party all over Europe said to Jill Stein, "Would you drop out, because there's no good that can come of you running, and we're all scared to death that Trump is going to win."
Because the Green Party in Europe is like, might as well be the Democratic Party or the Republican Party in this country. I mean, they're very recognized, substantial political force, correct?
Yeah.
And yet my question stands. Who is Jill Stein? Jill, if you're listening, come on the show and let us know a little bit about you.
Because she's certainly got not much to do tonight.
No. Oh, that's right. That being the Jill Stein victory party, it's being planned somewhere.
I'm gonna pour myself another glass of.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah.
Sauvignon Blanc.
We are full of liquor in this house more than we usually have, because we stayed home for Halloween. It was our let's see.
Did you have any Halloween trick-or-treaters?
We did. We went to a friend's house. This is the 9th anniversary of Alec and I meeting.
Oh.
On Halloween. Not that Alec remembered.
I didn't remember that.
Yep. I remember it. I remember it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met on Halloween, so easy to remember. But we didn't start dating for quite some time until after that.
Oh, but you met.
We met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that margarita looks so good.
It's so good.
Oh.
Casamigos reposado with like a 5-calorie margarita mix that's just delicious.
Who you're drinking margaritas? Who the hell cares about the calorie content?
Well, that means I can have a whole thing of this. See? You gotta choose.
What is that?
It's cinnamon toast crunch.
Oh,
yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Hello to Martin from Buenos Aires.
Hey.
Buenos Aires. Oh.
Look at that, huh? Yeah.
Martin.
Beautiful city. Beautiful city.
That's right. He can't interact. Yeah, I've never been there. I've never set foot anywhere in the our southern brother and sister down there, South America. Boy, would I like to. One of the several of the actors in Zorro that we shot in Spain were from Argentina. We're from South America. Terrific actors. That's another thing. You know, most of the roles I've done on stage and in TV, I wouldn't be able to do anymore, not because I'm old, but because I'm Amish. instead of being a Spaniard or in Italian. I played a Ukrainian general. Yeah, no.
Well, I just came across the wire that the abortion ban in Florida will stand. Their abortion measure failed, which is kind of shocking.
All right. So, yeah, listen, I don't think anybody has any illusions as to what my opinion on this is. And I do have personal family history, although not mine, with the subject matter. My one just middle of the road, political, non-political, whatever you want to say. We cannot in this country legally demand that a parent give even a blood transfusion to their own child. You can't do it. You can't force an adult, a teenager or a child to give up their own anything to another person, even their own child, to save their life. You can't do it, because if we were to change that law and force parents to give donations, or force siblings, force family members, force strangers to give everything from a kidney to bone marrow, any type of live donation to somebody else, it would affect men. Then men would have to do it too.
No, we'll have none of that.
Woman, it's only a woman. It's only a woman that has to sacrifice herself for the idea of another potential life, which could mean losing her job. If she's sick, it could mean permanent damage. It could mean death. It could mean she's stuck with medical bills for the rest of her life. Not to mention stuck with another person that she's responsible for. To make this equal, we would have to force other humans to give a kidney, pay for the surgery, take on all of the health consequences to save the life of somebody else. So this whole idea, if it's a life, it's pro-life. We don't make laws that force anybody else to sacrifice their body for somebody else. And you're forcing women and their families to do this for potential life. But it only affects women. This is
Crystal,
only physically affects women.
Can I ask you a question, Crystal?
Yes.
It's not particularly a penetrating question or deep, but where are you from?
California.
Born and raised in Northern or Southern California?
I'm born in Southern, and while I did spend some time in Jersey, I spent the bulk of my time in the East Bay.
You have no noticeable accent. I mean, I don't think.
I don't. I had a Jersey accent at one point because I.
Yeah, well, that's not so bad, but still, you really, you could be a. Do you write?
I do.
You do write. So you have such you have a great look, as I've mentioned to Alec many times, but also this very clear and non-provincial, non-parochial voice that is, you really could be well, not really a news. I wouldn't even recommend you to be a news person, but a leader of a thought leader of some sort, because you're very convincing, and so I know you're doing so many things, but including the tequila, but
that did help a little bit.
Yeah, but.
I did.
You're so well spoken, and there. For instance, Kamala has a horrendous voice. She most of the time she's talking through her nose. She doesn't accentuate it like I'm doing it here. But the sound of her voice is like through her nose. Just get it down. Get it back down to your chords, Kamala.
Yes, I think we've lost something of the art of oration. a bit.
Oh, wow. Yes. But
yeah.
yeah.
I
Trump,
mean,
unfortunately, has a good voice too. And he, he's
can project. That's for sure.
What's that?
He can project.
Yes. He projects in these outbursts of, yes, women love me. He'll be talking like this.
I actually found, obviously many storied politicians have been excellent orators. And I believe that Obama was one as well. I think he had his own cadence, but I do believe that he was very mesmerizing and the weight of his words came through. All good?
If the picture comes back, I might be all good.
Okay.
There. All right. So we got some more people dropped in. Peter Ward, Florida only very narrowly failed to pass Amendment 4. 60% was required. The measure won 58%. Stumblerock, thanks for stopping by. Have a good night.
JG wants help.
You need some help?
JG wants help.
My computer.
You good? Are you good, Alec? Okay. We'll go ahead and let them. Now, I will say this. I don't have the same control that Alec has. So this is just me speaking into the dark. But I'll see if Alec can multitask and throw up any comments or questions that are just directed at me while he's doing this. I'm sure he can.
Yeah, JG's power died. He didn't charge his his power cord got knocked out and his computer died. So he'll be back. He'll be back.
Your cat is here somewhere.
Which one?
The one that I call yours when she's misbehaving.
Hey, there's let's see, Crystal. I'm going to send you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think Amy is trying to. I think Amy's trying to find a foster for a little Chiweenie.
And
it's a hoarding case. Well, I don't know.
You're going out of town. I love this. I don't know why this is funny, but I literally just experienced this through a mutual friend. So this Facebook page that I'm on, it just said, some dudes who say they don't trust a woman to run the country call their mothers for everything.
I absolutely trust a woman more than I trust a guy to run this country.
I've always found it. I don't know why I found it interesting, because you have kind of this very much the same mindset that like my father and several other guys, although he was a generation ahead of you. Yeah, their experience with women in management was quite favorable. And I definitely try not to ascribe to anything being one sex over the other, but I'm going to give leeway to the fact that we treat women differently in this country. And I think that does have an effect on how women feel they need to manage things and how they have to climb.
Observers have stated how the women in the U.S. Senate get along so much better than the men.
I've seen that has been said, and that has been said forever. And I will say this as somebody who assisted in several state governments. The same thing is said, that even if women don't like each other, it is never known. It's not something that's stated, and that the men would be so boisterous about it. They would be emotional about it. They would be petty about it. They would cut each other out of events and talk crap about each other behind their back. And I'm like, and they're like, the women just don't do it. The women put their nose down and do their job and work with who they need to work with, and it just gets done. And that was, I heard that over and over again. And I don't know, again, you could say it's about anything. If somebody's going to know this far better than me, I would certainly like to pat myself on the back and say that women are just better and smarter and brighter at everything. But the fact is that's not true. I think it's just a matter of, maybe women feel like they had to, because men tend to be given a lot of leeway with very few consequences for their behavior, whereas women could be blamed for something they didn't even do. Who knows? Again, somebody out there is going to be far more of an expert than me. I certainly don't feel that the fact that somebody is a woman is the determining factor. And I would absolutely love to see a deserving woman become president.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Plus, it's fucking historic. I mean, the fact we had our first black president was awesome.
Yes. And that is obviously a huge reason why we had the pendulum swing back in the other direction, and a lot of angry people come out of the woodwork and things blow back the way that they did. But I feel like that's just what happens historically. Yeah. It's just the pendulum swings one way.
Well, Craig, I have to agree with you. Not all women are capable.
100%.
And DB and Bobert are clearly two who are not.
But look at the men that they also associate themselves with. So do they feel like they can behave a certain way, or are they encouraged to behave a certain way because they're just in a bad element, as opposed to this being a man-woman thing? If that makes sense. Again, I never want to ascribe the fact that it's just basically based on that. However, there are certainly some experts out there who believe that women should be given more opportunities. And I agree.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. So there you go. So it's gonna be interesting. Listen, I've been saying for a week or two that Kamala's going to win Georgia. They're saying here on MSNBC that Georgia's too close to call. Let's. All right, Steve Kornacki's up, so I'm going to turn the volume up. Let's hear what he has to say.
So he's at Pennsylvania now.
Vote by mail, but heavily Philadelphia and Pittsburgh area, Allegheny County. Those are the two biggest in the state. So I think, why don't we just give you a sense here over the next couple hours as Pennsylvania starts to take shape, what we're going to be looking at, because this could be absolutely critical, obviously, when we start talking about road to 270 scenarios. So, first of all, for Democrats in Philadelphia, it's just a question of margin. Harris is going to win this very big, but let me just show you what happened in 2020. This is what it looked like. And this was a margin for Democrats. You could see Biden 603,000, Trump 132,000. That is a margin of about 470,000 votes for Democrats out of Philadelphia. I think one of the numbers to keep an eye on as Philadelphia and Pennsylvania comes in is, does that get up to, if that got to 500,000, maybe set that as a bit of a benchmark here. If Democrats can get that up to 500,000, I think they're going to be feeling very good about what they can do in Pennsylvania. Can they drive that number up? Because, while this is a big number for Democrats, this 81-18 victory for Biden over Trump, there was a little bit of slippage there. This is just the city of Philadelphia. A little bit of slippage there for Democrats, give it relative to what they used to get out of Philadelphia. It's because in 2020, in part, Trump made gains with Hispanic voters in Hispanic precincts and neighborhoods of Philadelphia. So that's one of the things to watch tonight. Democrats are getting a big margin, but how big? Is it going north of 470? Is it getting up to 5? Or does this tick down another point or two in either direction here? So we're going to be looking out of that in Philadelphia. The other big thing, look, the collar counties of Philadelphia, these four right here. It's Delaware County, Chester County, Montgomery County, and Bucks County. Take them in almost two sections here. Take these three together. Delaware County, where we do have a little bit of vote, can show you right now. Core Democratic county, this is a little bit more racially diverse. You see Biden won this by 26 points. It's just about running up the number for Democrats in Delaware County, as is the case in Chester County. Now, Chester County, again, this fits that profile we talk about. High concentration of college degrees, higher income. There's no county in Pennsylvania in the Trump era that has become more Democratic to the degree that Chester County has. So as you start to look at the results come in here tonight, it'll be a while. See what Biden got here, 58%. Maybe set a benchmark in your head of 60%. Can Harris break 60% in Chester? Because what's happening in Pennsylvania, and this is going to be a theme in the two other northern tier battleground states, what's happening in Pennsylvania is the Democratic base is geographically contracting. Trump came along in 2016, and he started to run up massive margins in rural areas of the state, rural blue-collar areas of the state. And what's happened is the Democratic base has become more geographically concentrated into cities and metro areas. Again, suburbs, places, as I say, keep saying it, but it's what the stats show, high concentrations of college degrees. So what the Democrats increasingly need to do.
Listen, I'm all about the cult of Kornacki. That's the only cult I want to be a part of. That guy is fucking amazing. He's amazing. God, you just could listen to him. It's so amazing the way he breaks it down, because it's like a civics lesson, you know. It really is like a
stayed
civics
awake
lesson.
in that class.
Huh?
He actually stayed awake in that class.
Yeah. So it's really interesting.
I did not. Who's in here? Oh, they're all in here now. That's fine. Who else is in the comments? What's going on?
Yeah, I think this is true. This is one of the biggest things against Trump is he considers some people. He says that immigrants aren't human. He said that the other day, and that's just unacceptable. And you wonder why people refer to him as a fascist, because it's stuff like that that's right out of the fascist playbook. The othering of people, the dehumanizing of people.
There's clearly a lot of conversations that did not take place since World War II, but you can go back to multiple conflicts that should have, because a lot of people just have not seen the warning signs. Like, you really don't see this? You really don't hear this language?
No, listen, it's talking to some of these people is like talking to a brick wall. They totally refuse to acknowledge facts. I mean, there's still, it's something like.
But to that point, I want to make it clear. My personal opinion is that you will be dealing with, when it comes to politics and obviously any other very personal subject, you're going to have people that you feel are very unreasonable. And like we said, there's not really much of a point of having a conversation with somebody who gives you the impression that they are, let's say, extreme for diplomatic reasons. But yes, and we've absolutely, Alex. So there's all of that we see, but what's happening in this election are the discussions and the people who are in the middle, who have their own personal stories and their own personal reasons. It's why were mistakes made in the last several elections, and even though Biden won, it was not by that much.
Not much.
It was not by much. There are a lot of points of view and discussions and realities that are not taken seriously for the people in the middle. And all it takes is one person saying one thing that they feel like resonates with them, or something that is important, even if they don't like the person. When was the last time you heard somebody say they liked one of the politicians they were voting for? That's very rarely one of the reasons, unless it is some sort of cultish behavior, at which point there is no reasoning with the person if they're just acting like somebody is some sort of demigod. You're not going to be able to have a real conversation with them. And that's not new, but at this level of media coverage and extremity and social media, that is new to so many people. But the idea that happens is not new. But it's people in the middle who decide. It's the ones who have, for them, very legitimate reasons for voting one way or the other. Well, and that for many people, Colin, to that point, there are many people who are voting for Harris because she is not Trump. And when it comes to how many of us feel about Trump and the people that are surrounding him and his motivations, that's a very good reason. For us, that feels like a very good reason in this very specific circumstance. And that is why this is so different. Yeah. Yes, that is absolutely. And that is how fascism thrives.
Yeah.
And when you are thinking, Martin, to that point, if you are thinking about all of the people, when you're taking all of the things into consideration, you are going to make the decision that you feel is best based on that. And generally, when people do that, it is the right decision.
Yeah. Well, listen, I have to say that it was very interesting. I was listening to Tim Miller interview Mehdi Hassan, and Mehdi Hassan was talking about dealing with the Muslim population in Michigan, who's so upset about Joe Biden's record on Israel and Gaza, which I absolutely agree with the criticism. Yeah. I mean, it's appalling that we've supported the Netanyahu. I'm not going to say it's genocide, but it's pretty damn close, if nothing else.
It might legitimately be, for some people, the definition of genocide.
Yeah,
that is very true. But and I think your opinion is the same as mine. Is that if you're a Palestinian, does not mean that you are part of that terrorist group, and if you are from Israel, does not mean that you are a fan of Netanyahu.
And if you criticize Israel, that doesn't mean you're an anti-Semite.
No.
That's bullshit. But listen, if the United States, if we went in and just killed 40,000 civilians,
I think we've done that.
Yeah. Well, and when we've gotten shit for it, rightly so. Rightly so. It's absurd. It's absurd. So. But Mehdi Hassan was talking to these Muslims who said, well, we're going to, and he's like, well, you have to vote for either Kamala or Trump.
Right.
That's your choice. Jill Stein is a vote for Trump. Let's just be very, very clear that you vote for Jill Stein, or you leave it blank, or you write in George Washington. That's a vote for Trump.
Yes. So
you can rationalize all you want. The choice is Trump or Kamala. And so, and Kamala was very strong and pointed with Netanyahu when she met with him in DC last month. She was like, enough this bullshit. This needs to get resolved. And she said so in the press conference afterwards. So I don't, listen, this is one of the things I hate about Biden is I hate about the way he's kowtowed to Netanyahu. There's been no, I would have cut off all the arms and said, no, you're not going to use our arms to kill innocent civilians. And I'll always hold that against Biden. But that being said, it makes no sense to hold a grudge against Kamala for Biden's policy, and do something that's Trump is going to be way worse. He's so in Netanyahu's pocket.
Yes.
I mean, those authoritarians stick together. You can see how he,
No, and there's a whole other bag of BS involved with that. Yeah, they don't. That's true. 100%. As somebody who used to have a mezuzah on their door. Yeah, absolutely 100%. Yeah. The other thing one, you don't want to equate one person with the other. Kamala and Biden are two totally different people, regardless of the fact that they're running on, both as Democrats, and her being the vice president. That is something that became rhetoric because they really didn't have much else to throw at Harris as a problem. So they needed to say, oh, it's just Biden. Oh, just blame her for everything that happened. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Jonas, you're exactly right. I mean, we can support Israel as an ally and not agree with everything they do. And that doesn't make you an anti-Semite.
There's nothing you can support. You can support what you support and still call out when something, some sort of atrocity is visited upon civilians. It doesn't matter. You're still calling out an atrocity that was visited upon civilians. That's black and white. That bottom line. And the other part of that is a lot of people are, well, I'm no vote or write-in, or I don't want to do this. I said, well, listen, there have been times I have clicked on an incumbent. Where there was no opposition, I have decided to go ahead and vote for somebody because I wanted to have the right to say, hey, I voted for you and I really disagree with what you just did. You get to disagree with something that is being done by a politician if you voted, whether you voted for them or not. You just have to vote. If you didn't vote, you gave up your opportunity to do that. But if you you can vote for Harris, and that will 100% give you the right to say, hey, I voted for you, and I really don't like what you're doing right now. It's not an instant stamp of approval on everything. If you believe that this is somebody you can reason with, how many of you really think that are voting for Trump think you can reason with him? If if he gets elected.
No, listen, there's no real, there's, and here's the big thing. We can't have policy discussions with Trump because he doesn't understand policy. He has a concept of policy. Back when they tried to repeal the ACA, Obamacare, the Republicans were lying to the American public. They had no intention of replacing it. They were like, repeal and replace. Replace it with what? The Republicans have never had a health care plan. There's nothing that they have since Nixon almost passed a National Health Care Act, and it was the Democrats who screwed that up. But the Republicans have no interest in national health care. They have listen, Republicans have no interest in your welfare. None whatsoever. They care about power. They care about cutting taxes for rich people and corporations. And that's it. That is it. They want to cut regulations, right? They want to cut Social Security. They want to cut Medicare. They want to cut everything that helps the American people. Republicans have absolutely no interest in helping American people. All right, let's be very, very clear. And that is why there's no Republican platform. The Republican platform is whatever Trump wants. So you think we want some fucking idiot like Donald Trump who stole from a children's charity, who's a pervert and probably a pedophile since he was Jeffrey Epstein's friend and hung out with him all the time, who's an adjudicated rapist, who's a convicted felon, who is impeached twice. You want this guy making decisions about the welfare of Americans, let alone women, like it or not? He has no interest in, all he cares about is retribution for the people that he thinks have offended him. Well, that's too fucking bad, dude. And this is why he's going to lose, is because people want someone who's interested in them. And it's appalling to me when people make all sorts of justifications for why they think Trump should be elected, because there's a reason that Trump's biggest base is uneducated people, is non-college people, because they buy his bullshit. That's what it is. It's a constant line of bullshit with Trump. He's a compulsive liar. He is a malignant narcissist. And for people to buy into his bullshit is shocking to me. And I, for one, cannot wait until he's gone and gets locked up and put in prison, because that's where he belongs. I mean, it's just shocking to me.
So here's the one thing I will say. Now, Alec has a lot. First of all, I didn't complete college, Alec. Remember that.
Yeah, but you're not voting for Trump.
So here's the one thing I will say. My personal position. I don't like making any group of people a monolith. You and I both have very good relationships and conversations with people who would still identify as Republicans, but find themselves very disappointed with the direction that the party seems to be taking. And it's never been impossible for a political party to change. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party used to be polar opposites by definition. And here's my thing. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to be of the opinion that everybody who votes for Trump is somebody who is uneducated in this. When I didn't think he was that much of a threat, I was very dismissive about the people who were voting for him, because my experience at the time was with the most extreme personalities kind of getting in my face and having what I felt were very juvenile reasons for voting for this man. What we've been exposed to in the decade since is that basically the cracks in the entire system. And Trump is a symptom. He's not the cause of it. And so I'm not as comfortable making a blanket statement, even with how personally offended I've been, and even intimidated in my life by people who speak the way that he does and are clearly voting for him for what I feel are all of the wrong reasons. But I mean, this is I'm just gonna say this is a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call. It's a bigger problem than somebody just having gone to college or not gone to college. It's a much bigger problem. And the sad fact is, it seems to have come out a direct, pushback from having a Black man elected president. And God, do I miss him.
Yeah, a lot. All you have to do is hear Obama speak, and you realize how much we miss him.
Yeah, I mean, but not everybody is a student of history. Not everybody is as interested in just trying to get through the day, and
This is a great comment, Extreme Spoon. That's very true. A lot of people are voting for Trump because they just see the government not accomplishing what they want. Now, let's be clear. That's the Republicans doing. The Republicans don't want government to work, right? The Republicans are not in favor of government. They want libertarianism. They want as minimal a government as possible. And unfortunately, you need government to get things accomplished.
Sorry. I thought the cat was about to fall. And I just knocked down the camera.
Yes, and many smart people are voting for Trump because they see their tax cuts,
yes,
and they want more tax cuts. They don't care about everyone else. Rich people don't give a shit about you. Let's be very, very clear. All these billionaires, they couldn't give a shit if 99% of the country disappeared. All they care about is preserving their wealth. That's what they're about. There's very few. Look at all the rich billionaires in this country, and how many of them did you hear come out for Kamala Harris? Two. Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, and Mark Cuban. Those two billionaires came out for Kamala Harris. The others, they shut their mouths. They gave money to Trump. They want tax cuts. They don't give a shit about anyone else. They don't care about that Trump's tariffs are going to wreck our economy. Every single economist has said that if Trump instituted the tariffs he wants, it would tank our economy and put us into a recession, if not a depression. Every single economist. Wall Street cannot stand what Trump is saying. As much as they want the tax cuts, a lot of people on Wall Street aren't smart enough to realize that if you vote for Trump, if Trump gets in, you get the bullshit as well as your tax cuts. You get the craziness. And authoritarianism is not equal stability. It is not equal stability.
There's enough new wealth and unimaginable wealth and not perfect, but also 100%. And again, this is not me agreeing with absolutely everything that Obama, but I'm still going to say that I miss him a lot. The U.S. has come should be. I never sound good reading somebody else's comment, but the fact that the U.S. has come this close to fascism should be ringing alarm bells. Agreed. That Americans need to look again at the security of its system and the institutions in a very serious way. Agreed. Again, it's that summary that I stated that this is a symptom. This is a symptom of a very, very big problem.
Hey, Kenny, I got news for you. Ronald Reagan would not be welcome in the MAGA party. And let's be clear, there's no Republican Party anymore. There's Donald Trump's party. He took it over. The Republican Party, as you and I know it, as I was a member of until 2000, is no more. It does not exist anymore.
There was a time when we believed that Reagan was going to be the most extreme that we ever saw from the Republican Party. We were wrong. He doesn't. I do not. No, he does not. No, he does not. He is the type of person that will read the headline and not the article. So when you get him projecting some sort of big opinion, as far as wealth, I am of the mindset that there is such a thing as too much wealth, too much power, too much money. I do believe that it creates too much of a division from the community that you exist in, and it creates too much of a division from, I don't know, how you got the wealth or just how normal things work, and that happens on all level. I see that happen just in communities and inside of families and for people that just gain a little bit of what we would call wealth, not the enormous amount that we see people getting. I do believe that there is such a thing as too much. And I do believe that when you get to that point, your sense of even just civil responsibility goes out the window because you're not affected by the same things that everybody else are anymore. Yeah, no, I agree. Reagan would not be a part of this party anymore. Hold on, I've got a cat who's about to crawl across my keyboard.
See this, I just this, and this is the type of shit I have to deal with online. You know, this guy says, Democrats are sending our children to fight foreign wars that they started.
What?
I'm sorry. What war did a Democrat start? What? None.
No.
Iraq and Afghanistan were started by Bush.
I love that my father it was the first time I had like this really big civil disobedience conversation with my dad. He was incredibly disappointed with the second Bush administration. And he, as a Republican, as a lifelong Republican, was, a Republican that you could be when you're born in 1926. So let's bear that in mind. My father was born in 1926. So you got me? Good. Okay. He absolutely believed that election was stolen, that the second Bush was only elected once, and that was the second time. Yeah. And that everything had to go back to, he was trying to clean up his father's mess, and it went back to people who owed his father favors because of positions they were put in during the first Bush administration. And that was even my dad, as a Republican who, quite frankly, did not like Obama, but at least he had a couple of, reasonable, articulable summaries for why he didn't like Obama, but he didn't unfortunately didn't live to see.
All right, Brian, I'm going to address it. Brian, no one's advocating socialism. Do you even know what socialism is?
Now, wait a minute.
Socialism is the state owns the means of production. No one in the Democratic Party is advocating for socialism. That is just a Republican bullshit line to scare you into voting for them.
Okay.
That's crazy. And no one is advocating the end of private property. That's bullshit, Brian. You're better than that, and you need to stop spewing this bullshit. And no one's advocating total government, and no one's advocating open borders. I mean, this is the Republican bullshit Fox News crap. That is just, it's just a load of crap.
I will say
JG is
he back?
We're waiting for JG.
Is too much wealth when it is wielded to control entire countries.
How you guys doing tonight?
Hey, hello. Jefferson, how are you?
How you doing?
I am sitting here watching the election coverage, wondering how is it close like this? What is even going on? And
you got to understand. You have to. We were talking about this. You have to understand the way the votes come in, and you have to understand the demographics and how the rural counties are going to. First of all, the rural counties are going to be counted first because they're the easiest because they're the least people there.
There's front end and then there's back end, and
then all the cities where all the Democrats are going to be counted last because there's so many votes there. So right now it doesn't mean anything because you get and this is what we saw 2 years ago in the senatorial race when was it Warnock and was it Herschel Walker was running against Warnock? And Herschel, it was close. And then Fulton County comes in and just fucking overwhelms Herschel Walker. So
Right.
I wouldn't worry. We're really not going to have any idea about this stuff until much later tonight, or in the morning.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's in the morning. It's going to be a tough one. It's kind of like there's this post I saw on social media. I can't remember what site. I think it might have been Facebook. The question was, does everyone else feel like they're waiting for a biopsy report or something like that? It's just the way we're sitting on pins and needles right now today has been unbelievable. Like I was not expecting it. And like you said, hopefully things will kind of change and turn around as the night goes on. But it just is astounding to me that it's even starting out like this.
I'm not really, this is the value of listening to Steve Kornacki all the time. You really understand how votes come in and why things are the way they are. Until you start seeing 80% of the vote coming in, it's really not, now look at here, they're projected Kansas. Harris is winning in Kansas. She's not going to win Kansas, but right. And there's only 29% of the vote in right now. So it's really meaningless, until you start getting those big numbers. Right.
There's got to be more time that goes along, which I totally get that. But, it's going to be one of those things where people are going to be up. It's going to be a late one tonight. That not for me, I'm not going to be up that late, but it's going to be the first thing that I'm looking at in the morning for sure. Just wondering, okay, what's going to happen? How did we vote, and what's going to be next? And there's a part of me that's a little nervous. I don't know. There's a large population of the country that you got to wonder what's it going to take to get you to listen to reason.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So it's definitely going to be an interesting one, that's for sure. But I wasn't able to watch as much of the coverage today as I wanted to. Just had a lot going on and got pretty busy, but I tried to get some stuff in here and there just to try to stay informed. Of course, did my voting, did mail in, which I think is the good way to do it. I'm not all about standing in long lines and things like that, but if you can do it mail in or whatever that is, any way you can vote. I think that's certainly the key takeaway.
Yeah. And props to, thinking ahead. The more you vote and the older you get, the more experience you get. And if you get to stay in the same area, it gets easier to figure it out. Alec and I, fortunately, are right in an area right down the road, and there's never a line.
Oh, really?
We're in the middle of nowhere we vote. So yeah, we're good. I was in and out of there in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty easy.
But I want to give full props to, especially the first time voters. It was all those college kids who lined up and they stood in line for hours to vote. And I'm like, good for you. I'm not even going to ask you who you voted for. I'm going to give you full props for just standing there and voting.
Well, awesome.
Well, to that point.
Here's something for you.
Yes, Hello Kitty is a little girl in a kitty cat costume. And so when I see Halloween come around and there's pictures of Hello Kitty in a kitty cat, like it's Hello Kitty, and then they put another cat costume on top of the picture of Hello Kitty, I'm like, it's a little girl in a kitty cat costume in a kitty cat costume. Stop doing that. It's weird. Yes, that's true. I agree. Wholeheartedly. I think a lot of people have misconceptions. I don't like to demonize socialism because it's become a word used by a lot of people who don't 100% understand.
Sorry about that.
You're good. Welcome back. There are socialist practices that have worked and people would be in favor of if they understood better what they are.
Well, this is Brian Simpson's point here.
Mhm.
Democratic socialists, that's what Bernie Sanders advocates. That is different than socialism.
Right.
All those countries that are democratic socialists, they are capitalists, but
They are.
they pay more in taxes and they provide more services.
So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think somebody was debating Norway with me at one point. I must say it was Norway. I may be wrong. It could have been Finland. They absolutely take 50% of every dollar that you make, but they actually use it. You actually have health
free education, free health care, free retirement,
care, senior care.
That's crazy talk.
And on top of now, and everyone's like, but you can't make that much money. Do you understand that the cap on in countries like that, I'm going to say, somebody correct me, it is either Norway, Denmark, or Finland. The cap is $300,000. If you make $300,000, that is yours, minus 150. You get the idea. The cap is not at $50,000. It's not meant to make you poor. It is meant to maintain the level of entrepreneurship to a level that continues to benefit the community, not begin to rearrange it. That's their philosophy. And obviously, I am not the most learned person in the world to talk about something like this, but so far we've seen it work. These are the healthiest, happiest nations because they have a combination of the two practices. Because technically, by definition, fire department, police department, military, that's socialist. That is funded by your tax dollars. The education system that we do have, much as it may not be that great, is a socialist practice. It means it is the direct impact of the tax dollars going directly to how the government works in your community.
Right. Well, I think the big thing, and this is just my opinion that I see is one of the many issues with the country, is we don't want any of our money to go to benefit someone else. That's the thing, is I don't care until it affects me directly. Right. So if you're talking about raising a tax or a benefit or Medicare for all, whatever it is, the reason that is frowned upon is because, well, that might benefit someone that doesn't deserve it. Someone may get it that I don't want to get that. And plus, you've got the companies. The companies and businesses have bought the right politicians. Mm-hmm. So they've got us trained to always vote against our own best interests.
Correct. You vote for your beliefs more often than you vote for your own self-interest. And the I'm not going to say the inability, but I mean, maybe on some people's part, but just the complacency and not further educating yourself in how certain things that appear to benefit somebody else do actually benefit your community as a whole. And just not even being open to that, to hearing that. I don't know why people don't understand that having health care across the board would benefit everyone, not just you when you're sick, but actually be better for community as a whole.
Right. Well, that's the key issue, is because it would help someone else.
Right.
And so that therein lies the problem.
Yeah. God forbid. God forbid somebody else's help.
Yeah. I mean, other developed nations in the world have gotten this to work, but the richest one, no. Rampant capitalism.
Yeah.
The income inequality.
So here's
all of that stuff.
Here's kind of the philosophical question. Are we that spoiled kid that was given too much too soon for too little? Because as we came out of World War II, we are the country that sacrificed the least. Not by any means am I downplaying the sacrifices that were made, but numbers wise, we spent the least amount of money and we had the least amount of losses compared to the other major nations. We benefited the most out of all of it because the nation that sacrificed the most and spent the most money actually benefited the least from the end of World War II. Did we get out of this with too much and just took it for granted.
I think so. I think that's a very good point, is that, we came in late, didn't spend as much, didn't sacrifice as much, but gained the most out of it.
Yeah, we were on top out of everything. And we did it by maneuvering other countries to kind of do what we wanted them to do
Right.
on our behalf. And the countries that lost the most did not come out of it. And then came out of it, as with World War I, there were countries came out of it with resentment at the end of World War II as well, which begins to move the chess pieces around again.
Mm-hmm.
So we came out of the 40s into the 50s and then into the 60s, and we started maneuvering the chess pieces again.
Right. No, I agree. I think that's a good way of looking at it, and unfortunately, it's just continued that way, and it seems like it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to change those things. Just look at the uproar that was caused, when Biden wanted to do student debt forgiveness, student loan forgiveness. I mean, there were people that were beside themselves with the thought of you can't do that and it was always followed by, because I paid my loans,
Right.
or some other excuse or some other story. It's almost like we would prefer, and I think in some cases, to take enjoyment over people that are in student loan debt,
Mm-hmm.
go bankrupt because of student loans, medical bankruptcy, and so forth. Because again, it's, well, if it doesn't affect me, then sorry about your luck. I don't care about that.
Right.
And it really shouldn't be that way. It's regardless of if you paid off your bills or your loans or whatever it is.
Right.
It shouldn't just be, well, but me.
Right. That's the equivalent of saying, well, I had to go through chemotherapy, so I'm not donating to cancer research.
Oh, right.
I mean, come on. And that's not even taking into account the fact that student loans have become far more predatory than they were even just 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Every year it spirals into a worse pit than it was. They are not like any other loan. It was absolutely done through political corruption and the basest of lobbyist behavior in order to get to that point. And it is crippling this generation. And
it is.
For who? This is what I mean about too much wealth. Like, for who? Somewhere between the Sackler family and Freddie Mac is the seventh circle of hell ruler. Like, come on. They're just 100% predatory.
It is. It's almost like we take some kind of joy in crushing people and getting money from them. How much money can you get out of someone? How much richer can the rich get? It's absolutely ridiculous. And in some cases, now I don't want to put a wide blanket on it, but there was I went back to school. I went to ITT Tech to get my associate's degree in computer networking. This was between 2007, 2009. And several years after, ITT Tech ended up closing down, getting shut down because of their practices in how they were getting these student loans and putting people through the program with no realistic expectation of getting any kind of decent employment. And it was something that I had actually seen myself when I was there, because there were people that were in my class and that I knew that I was saying there is no way this person should be at this far into the program and at this level. And it really confused me to see. And I saw that it really seemed like, if you can get approved for the loan and you can get the money, we'll put you in the program, and completely. I mean, and that's the problem when you when you get a reputation like that, and that kind of starts going around, and it was actually more of a joke or a meme if you were an ITT tech student trying to get a job in the technical field, because it's almost like people knew coming in that you were probably going to be full of shit. And I can tell you, there's the degree that I have is the same degree that this other guy has that was in my class, and I can't tell you to the low level of technical aptitude that he had. I mean, it was not even, it was almost below basic.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, okay, so we can tout equal education, but the level is so different. Like, how do you explain that? How do you maintain a reputation as an institute of education when something like that happens?
Right. When the standards of just entry have been lowered to that point. And I always make the joke that I never finished college. And I was, for the most part, okay with that because of the few complete bozos that I've met who have college degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm okay. But I mean, I absolutely agree that there should be different institution standards for the different level. But I also believe that there should be a better structure of steering people to the direction that they would best be suited to, as opposed to like if this type of education is not for you, maybe this type of education is for you. Maybe this is going to teach you a skill that you can continue to use. And that's fine. That's fine. We should be readily accepting the fact that people learn differently and have different skills and have different things that they should be doing. Mm-hmm. But I mean, obviously your 2 points are, how disappointing is it for you that you're paying all this money to get this education, and that's all it took for somebody else to get the same degree? Now I feel like this is a piece of toilet paper that I.
Guys, we're going to take we got to listen into what's going on here.
Yep.
All right.
Because they're talking about Georgia.
Okay.
Vote with that remaining same-day vote to come in, even though that looks like an enormous Democratic win, and by numbers it is, it may not be enormous enough. The Democrats don't want any slippage there, so we'll be paying close attention to that one too, Rachel, as we get more from Georgia.
All right, Steve, we've got a few updates since we have last checked in. The NBC News projection in the state of Rhode Island is that there is a winner in the Rhode Island presidential contest. Kamala Harris is projected to win the presidential race in Rhode Island. NBC News can also project in Mississippi that the winner of the presidential contest is Donald Trump. NBC News can also project in Louisiana that the winner of the presidential contest is Donald Trump. A couple of other interesting updates for you. Back to Delaware. This is a historic outcome in a House race. So this is the Delaware House seat, an at-large House seat. This is an open seat because the incumbent was Lisa Blunt Rochester, who just won a U.S. Senate seat in Delaware tonight. When she left that seat and opened it up, the Democrat running for it is Sarah McBride. The Republican running for it is John Whalen. NBC News can project that Sarah McBride has won that seat. And I mentioned that this is a historic win because Sarah McBride will be the first openly transgender member of Congress. And she has just won this seat tonight in Delaware. Congratulations to her. I should also mention it's another race that would not necessarily make national news, except for a very important piece of it that will become immediately clear to you in one moment, which is that our NBC affiliate in Georgia, WXIA, has now made its own call in the Fulton County District Attorney's race. Again, we wouldn't generally be following individual district attorneys' races in the national news, but this is the Fani Willis race. Fani Willis is the district attorney in Fulton County who brought the RICO prosecution against Donald Trump and a number of co-defendants. Fani Willis has been reelected to a second term, and by a considerable margin, by voters in Fulton County, Georgia tonight. I have one other piece of news to bring you. NBC News can now report that the FBI is tracking and investigating bomb threats attributable to Russia in Georgia and Wisconsin and Michigan and Arizona. We do also have reports of new bomb threats at polling sites in Pennsylvania. Governor Josh Shapiro says that there have been multiple bomb threats in Philadelphia, multiple voting locations targeted. All of these bomb threats are non-credible. These are hoax bomb threats. There are no bombs, but bomb threats are being phoned in or otherwise communicated in multiple states. Voting hours were extended to 9 p.m. in Clearfield County in Pennsylvania. This is in the central part of the state because of a bomb threat in the building where votes were being counted there. According to NBC News reporting, it's not necessarily apparent to the FBI that these new bomb threats that we're just disclosing now, these Pennsylvania ones are attributable to Russia, but they say they are investigating Russian attributed bomb threats in Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona. The FBI also reportedly investigating more threats in undisclosed other states. So it's more even than we have previously mentioned. Let me just reiterate and underscore and repeat. There aren't bombs. There's no real threat. The threat that happens here is the calling in the bomb threat where there isn't a bomb in place, specifically to try to achieve chaos, to try to get these sites evacuated, and in some cases to disrupt voting patterns.
And for kids watching for the first time election results, they should know that we never had bomb threats before Donald Trump became a presidential candidate.
Joining us now from a polling location in Reno, Nevada, where we're expecting polls to close at the top of this next hour, is NBC's Steve Patterson. Steve, what are you seeing there in Reno?
Yeah, two things that are.
All right. Well, things continue to be close. No surprises there so far. All the states that have been called so far have been either very clearly red or very clearly blue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're still in the. Yep.
I think that was a very telling comment that there's never in the history of voting has there been bomb threats until Donald Trump became a presidential candidate.
Well, look at the rise of political violence. It's because of the way Trump talks. He encourages violence. You don't see violence happen on the Democratic side for this election. It's all on the Republican side.
Right.
And that's all because of Trump. He's normalized political violence.
I do find one side to be far more intimidating than the other. 100%.
Well, it's been normalized. It's been normalized and empowered.
Yes.
People to do that.
Yep, it's encouraged. It's applauded, and because it's done for that person, and we all know what a slippery slope that is. It's it's bad behavior unless it's done to this person, unless it's done by me, unless it's done for this. And I'm like, nope.
Right.
Nope.
By the way, to Brian Simpson's comment before, yeah, Brian, we're all friends here. We're having a robust debate. There's no angst being taken over through anyone. So we're all still friends, living by IDIC.
What else?
Just checking. We're just having the area studio stories moving to the Axanar website. So I just have got some text messages to answer Lee Questenberry.
I have cat.
All right. So
Running around.
someone said that.
Yes.
I don't. Okay. So what we're not getting much of, which I guess is in line, is who's winning the House races. I'm pretty confident that the Republicans are going to win the Senate, but the House is really important and up for grabs. So,
yeah, I haven't heard anything on that. I pretty much have had tunnel vision on this this main thing going on, which I think we probably all have had.
Me too. Yep. So far quite predictable. But until it gets closer to midnight, that's what's going to happen.
Well, right, and there's a lot of states over on the West Coast, and that's something I've got to remind myself is that they're several hours behind us. So they're in the middle of their polling day, or more in the evening. So there's still more time they've got going on, but yeah, so far on the east half of the U.S., it's looking a little scary.
Yeah, and as Justin points out, yeah, listen, besides Brian, I've got some of my close friends in Axanar, Dale Simpson, who's a conservative right winger voting. I'm sure he's voted for Trump, and we don't talk politics much, but it doesn't affect our relationship.
Well, because you guys can speak like adults and have a conversation without insults or threats or name calling, things like that. That's hard to come by these days.
Yes.
Kenny, it's not a lame duck presidency if it's just divided control, which is happens all the time. It happens more often than unified control. So there you go. Okay, let's get back and hear what Steve Kornacki is saying again here.
County. We need to see that remaining 20% if it continues to come down and it ends up looking more like this or even closer than that. But that's the most complete we have right now of a big substantial county in Pennsylvania. And that's what we're looking at there. And again, just a couple other things to flag. We don't have much. Erie County, we will we'll keep an eye on it because there's only 2 counties in Pennsylvania that actually swung between 16 and 20. 2 counties that went for Trump in 16 and then flipped to Biden in 2020. Erie County is one of them. We basically have no vote from there, but that's a bellwether county we want to be following as it comes in. And the other one is on the eastern side of the state here. This is Northampton County. Now we got about a quarter of the vote in here. A lot of this you could just see here. This is what it lets the mail-in vote. You see, Joe Biden won this thing narrowly in 2020. This was a flip. And again, this is the question now as the remaining vote starts to get tallied up and come in. Can Donald Trump get back to that number and beyond it? Can he flip this county? These are potentially bellwethers in Pennsylvania. By the way, Wisconsin, we started to get some results here out of Wisconsin, too. And I just want to show you, we said at the start of the night, bow wow. The bow counties, Brown, Outagamie, Winnebago, blue-collar counties, Green Bay, Appleton, Oshkosh. These are areas where Donald Trump lost some ground in 2020, still won them, wants to win it back. And wow, that's Washington, Waukesha, and Ozaukee. These are core Republican suburbs where Democrats have been gaining. Are the Democrats gaining more? So we do have now nearly 40% of the vote in the biggest of the WOW counties. This is Waukesha County. And just to put this in some perspective, this was a bad showing for Republicans. Trump won Waukesha in 2020 by 21 points. But look, in 2016, Trump won it by 27. Go back to Mitt Romney. It was more than 2-1 Republican. This was bad. This is one of the reasons why Donald Trump lost in Wisconsin 4 years ago. Now, the way the vote is coming out in Wisconsin tonight is the absentee vote. We may get absentee vote a little bit later from some of these counties. It's done at the municipal level, but there could be opportunities here for Harris to grow the support. This is not like Pennsylvania, where this is just all Republican gains later on. So we want to keep an eye on here because the Democrats want to get Harris over 40% in Waukesha. They want to keep making gains here. And so with 40% in, you're at about the 2020 level. And this is the other one. Ozaukee County, of all the counties in Wisconsin, this one has the second highest level of educational attainment. That is, people with college degrees. Democrats have been doing much better with this demographic. This showing for Joe Biden in Ozaukee County in 2016, I don't know why I said that, 2020, this showing for Joe Biden, he lost by 12 points, was the best showing for a Democrat in this county since Lyndon Johnson in 1964. So this is one tonight where you want to see if Harris is further improving on this, getting this down, into single digits, 5, 7, 8 points, something like that. So far, a little bit more than a quarter of the vote in, this would be a very good number for Democrats out of Ozaukee County. These suburbs right outside Milwaukee used to win Wisconsin for Republicans. Democrats have been eroding that support for Republicans. If they can do more, that's big for them tonight. And then there's this. About a third is in now in Dane County, and this is the mother lode of votes for Democrats. It has become this way in Wisconsin. It used to be that the Democratic coalition was very spread out in the state. Democrats could win dozens of rural counties with blue-collar populations. Trump came along. He's gobbled just about all of those up. So the Democrats are increasingly dependent on just running up the score. This is a massive county, Madison State Capital, University of Wisconsin, high-density suburbs here. And here's the thing in Dane County. Every election this century, Democrats have gotten a bigger and bigger margin out of here. This is where it landed in 2020. It's not just the margin, Biden winning this by more than 50 points. It's this. Biden, 260,000, Trump, 78,000. That's a margin of nearly 182,000 votes for Democrats out of this county. And again, if you went back to the turn of the century, Democrats were winning here by about 50,000 votes. Every 04, 08, 12, 16, 20, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Democrats want to get even more out of this tonight because, again, they're taking such hits in the rural areas of the state. Can they get this thing up to 190? Could they ever get this to 200,000 votes? Every time you think they've gotten the most they possibly can out of Dane, they get more. They're probably going to need more tonight. So, again, a third of the vote in there right now. Let's see that one as it starts to develop. But seeing that in Wisconsin overall now, again, 10% or so in statewide, a 13% now, and that's what you got in Wisconsin.
Steve, thank you. We're going to go now to Jacob Soboroff, who is standing by in Philly. And Jacob is actually with the Philadelphia City Commissioner, who is in charge of running elections in.
All right. Well, there you go. So it's all happening like they said it would happen.
Listening to that guy talk, it's like, how does one get to be that smart? And then I wonder, do I sound that smart when I'm talking about Star Trek?
No,
maybe.
I
don't
one
know.
does.
Do any of us?
No one does. He's a savant.
Listen, that guy. Yeah, it's God. I miss that enthusiasm. I miss that enthusiasm for it. I miss in the one or two classes that I took. Fortunately, yeah, I miss that enthusiasm a lot. Oh, fuck off.
Oh yeah, the talk about I saw that one earlier. So there's already a lawsuit filed, and already claims of cheating. So
oh God, they've already the Republicans are. Here's the other thing about the Republicans. The Republicans are all about. They claim, we're focusing on election integrity. There has been no meaningful election fraud in 50 years in the United States, none whatsoever. It's all minuscule. As a matter of fact, most of the cases that come up turn out to be Republicans. But there is like no election fraud. And it's the Republicans who are trying to suppress the vote because they can't win. They can't win a majority in this country anymore. So they're always trying to suppress the vote. They're always instituting laws to suppress the vote. They're always suing. And look, all these lawsuits are meaningless. There's no election fraud. Trump's like, oh, there was fraud in Pennsylvania. Bullshit. The Pennsylvania... even Josh Shapiro came out and said he's full of shit. There's no election fraud going on, so it's just, Trump was like, oh, they tried to. There were 2,600 ballots signed by one person. No, that's an absolute lie. They did get a bunch of registrations signed by one person, and they rejected them immediately. That's how our system works. So yeah, it's all just a lot of bullshit. But because Republicans can't win a fair election, if it was for if you took away gerrymandering and the Electoral College, the Republicans would never win another Congress or presidency.
And I think they so much as said that and admitted that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They know they can't.
Yeah. When clearly they're already trying to lay the foundation for the loss. And as far as Trump, his motivation for doing that is, I believe that there's a huge part of him that wants to lose. And he's laying the foundation for what he's going to do when that happens. Whether that's incite this or he would want to win because maybe he could get out of jail if he does. But if he loses, then laying the foundation for it being a cheat. Like his when he first ran for president, he just wanted to become more famous. He just wanted to
That's
get
right.
power. He just wanted to have more money.
Mm-hmm.
He just wanted to like build up his own network, literally his own television network or channel or whatever.
And Brian, just so we can put it to bed,
Yeah.
the president has nothing to do with gas prices. This is another one of those Republican bullshit things. Oh, we had cheap gas. It has nothing to do with the president.
That because they never give credit to a Democratic president when the gas prices go down during their administration.
Right, of course not.
But they're perfectly aware of the fact that the presidential administration has nothing to do with gas prices.
Nothing.
Right. Not nothing whatsoever. And by the way, we are producing. The United States is the #1 energy producing country in the world under Biden, not under Trump, but under Biden. We're drilling more than we ever have before.
And everything is, again, it's like, how often are people really talking about what is affected? What takes 12 months to be impacted? What takes 20 months to be impacted? What takes 4 years to be impacted? What takes 8 years to be impacted? I have watched, just in my lifetime, personally, I've watched the economic impact of having a Democratic administration on the economy.
Democratic administrations always are better for the economy than Republicans.
And how quickly it's flipped by one freaking Republican administration.
Yeah.
Just in the past 2 generations. That's like in the past 40 years.
Yeah, Jonas, this is. I think you're missing the point. This is exactly what I'm saying. The Republicans can't get a popular vote majority.
Right.
The Republicans can't get control of Congress without gerrymandering. So they're using the artificial, undemocratic tools of the Electoral College and gerrymandering, which are anti-democratic, in order to gain the presidency and gain control of the House of Representatives. These things, that's the only way they can win those. They cannot win them if those anti-democratic institutions are removed. And that's why people want to remove the Electoral College and remove gerrymandering, which is bullshit. The Republicans are only 50% of the state of North Carolina, but they have 70% of the representatives because of gerrymandering. And so these are undemocratic principles, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think the Electoral College definitely is one that has to go. That's been talked about. I think that's a topic that comes up every election, that it's a very flawed system. And that's another one of those things that you wonder if that's ever going to change. It should. It honestly does not make any sense anymore.
Okay. So Harris wins Illinois. Trump wins North Dakota. Woohoo. Okay, let's see what.
I mean, so far,
bodily autonomy back to the state, but also we're voting for Donald Trump and Rick Scott, 2 people who are very clearly anti-choice, and one person in particular who could play a hand in outlawing abortion nationwide. And one of the phenomena that I think is distressing for Harris and.
So, I mean, as far as the abortion ban, obviously, a lot of people have forgotten how bad things needed to get in order to have Roe v. Wade swing the way that it did previously. And short-term memories. Y'all really don't remember how bad this got.
Yeah, it is crazy. And we're going to have to wait until we have unified control over the federal government before we can pass a law. And
you're already 100% affecting just the marginalized members of society, although it depends where you are. Sometimes women are actually the higher population. But then you have minority women who are even worse off when medical decisions are made by politicians than other women in the country. And the mortality rate for minority women in this country is already astronomically high compared to white women. And not to mention how the families and the children are affected when their mothers are sick or die because of medical malpractice. And it should be noted that the number one cause of death for a pregnant woman is still murder.
Really?
Is still murder, not medical malpractice. That's too. Yeah.
Wow.
So
let's hold on. We're gonna listen to what's it.
Sure, why pro-lifers don't have much to say about that.
Right.
Oh, right. It's you can talk about how people can talk about how they personally view women, how they respect their family, or how they're doing this for life and everything else, but your actions speak louder.
Right. You don't vote the way that you talk.
Well, and again, the impact, like I understand what your belief is, and I really hope sorry for the people who vote in that direction, in the anti-abortion direction. I understand that you believe wholeheartedly that your belief is your motivation for doing this, and it's life that you want to save, but you have closed your mind off to the actual reality of the impact of this. And right. you're not listening, and it's a very comfortable position when you can just say, I'm just doing it for this one reason. It is a lot more uncomfortable and takes a lot more to actually listen to other people's stories, to actually look at the numbers, and to actually understand an impact beyond your belief.
Right.
And
no, I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very good point.
The reality is that when people vote for their beliefs, it is the most vulnerable members of society who suffer the most because of it.
Right. Well, and I think there's probably not enough of voting based on policy that happens. Right. And there was a person that told me that they vote Republican, and this was during Trump's era. And the person I was talking to was the last person that I would think would vote that way. And it was explained to me that it's not about voting for the person. It's the policies of the Democratic Party negatively impact the profession that I'm in. So I'm not voting against, I'm not voting for a party or policies that would jeopardize the type of career that I'm in. And I said, that does make some sense, that you don't have to like the person. And, of course the candidate was very much disliked, but the problem is that you're going based on the policy you're voting for. And I thought that was a very interesting way of looking at it. How many voters out there do you think are voting based on policy? A lot of it is, I voted for this person because I don't like the other one.
Yeah, that is a lot of it, or it is, unfortunately, I feel that the Republican Party and Trump, obviously, and the people directly surrounding him have put out a lot of very false promises. They've put out a lot of false statements, and they've done a lot of fear mongering. And so they are preying upon people's beliefs, kind of manipulating them to believe that this is some sort of policy that they are going to enact that would benefit them in some way. And they figured out that's a touchstone. It's the same, but that's the very Fox News type approach to putting information out there. I love the line from Bombshell where it's, you have to consider yourself an Irish street cop, and everybody's a criminal, and sex is interesting but bad, and minorities are dangerous. And if it's a story that would scare your grandmother or piss off your grandfather, it's a Fox story. And that's Fox News, and that's unfortunately the Republican Party.
Yeah, voting for someone that has concepts of a plan.
Yeah, and it's of course for people that are a little more outside of that bubble, and I do believe that it has constructed itself into some form of bubble. And the more often you hear it and you give into it, the harder it is to reprogram yourself away from it. We see the people that, let's say, are up here telling the people here to tell the people here that the people down here are the ones that are dangerous.
Right. Yes.
It's like, no, because that's easy. It's easy to point
it's the othering. They call it the othering. It let you. Who are you scared? Oh, you need to be scared of the others.
Yeah.
You know, and that is the biggest scam the Republican Party has perpetrated. It's making people scared of immigrants and poor people. The people you need to be scared about are all the billionaires in this country. And Elon Musk is the perfect example of what is wrong. And I'm going to throw in Jeff Bezos as well. Whereas Elon Musk is actually a danger to this country because of the way he's operating. Jeff Bezos is just a fucking pussy, if you excuse my expression, and scared of a Donald Trump presidency. Well, this country wasn't built on people who are scared of what might happen. It was built by people who took charge and said, "I'm willing to take the risk in order to form something better."
Well, how disappointed are we in how many news organizations decided not to call for one candidate or the other?
Yeah. Well, that's why Washington Post lost 250,000 subscribers. It's because everyone's like, you have no balls. You're a coward, and I don't want to support your newspaper.
Coward.
Right.
Yeah, and then Colin is exactly right. That is populism. Simplistic solutions to complex problems.
Yes.
But they don't stand a chance of hell working, but large parts of the electorate don't understand that. Yeah, and again, this is the problem with an uneducated. This is why the Republican Party poo-poos education, because they don't want an educated populace. An educated populace will realize that what they're proposing is bullshit. If we were more discerning, you would be able to look and go, okay, Donald Trump is full of shit. He only cares about himself and staying out of prison. So whatever's on the other side of Donald Trump is, as Bill Maher says, he would vote for a peanut butter sandwich.
Well, we do absolutely have up to epidemic proportions people that are giving in to the fear mongering, and my feeling is stop trying to make a boogeyman or some sort of Baba Yaga or big bad wolf. You could come out as anything. You could say it's a cabal. You could say it's the deep state. You could say it's whatever outlandish conspiracy theory you read on whatever page on 4chan. I don't care, but you keep trying to make this when we have bad things happen in politics and from people in power that are bad enough on their own. We don't have to make up things, but that behavior is encouraged. And by this entire powerful political party. And that is beyond disturbing, that you are encouraging the worst, most ill-educated thoughts and leading to the worst of conspiracy theories. And if your party has to depend upon people being sick and poor and uneducated in order to vote for you, you're the bad guy.
Right. And that's what they're depending on.
Yes. Yes. They encourage it. They want it. And it's the idea of people in power wanting to maintain power and wanting to have more money and wanting to encourage the masses to enable them to do what they want. None of that is new.
Okay, we're going to go back to Steve Kornacki here.
All right.
clear in a lot of these counties. We just don't have enough to say. But one county where we're getting real close, and I think is going to be a very big indicator here, we've talked about this, is Lackawanna County, where Scranton is, and now 90% of the vote is in. And we were looking at this a few minutes ago, and we were saying again that we expected Trump to close, to cut into the lead that Harris had. It was at about 6.5, 7 before. Now with 90%, and you can see he's cut it a little bit. It's down to 5 points. And remember what we're looking for in Lackawanna County. There's two very different ways this has played out in the last two elections. In 2016, Donald Trump got close to only about 3 points behind here. He won the state of Pennsylvania. In 2020, Democrats with Joe Biden came in and won this by more than 8 points. Biden won the state. So we were saying at the start of the night, Trump wants this number. Democrats want that number. Right now, it's sitting right in between them. It's sitting at 5. So there's still some same day to come in. Let's see this remaining 10%, what that does to this margin. Again, the same day seems to be favoring Trump. How much is it going to favor Trump? Is it going to bring it down back to this level completely? Is it going to stabilize? But that's the most complete county we have in Pennsylvania right now. And I think we said at the start of the night, it's a very key one, because this region where Scranton is, where Lackawanna County is, this is very contested political terrain. I could just show you some of the other counties here. Luzerne County, this is where Wilkes-Barre is. This is also where the city of Hazleton is. Hazleton is a majority Hispanic city. Donald Trump actually won Hazleton in 2020. Again, Trump campaign thinks it can make more gains with Hispanic voters. If they do, you'll see it here. About half the vote is in Luzerne County. And again, the same day is what's still to come here. So Trump's leading by 8 points now. He won this county by more than 14 in 2020. Question for the Trump campaign wants to get over that number. They want to improve on that number here. If the Democrats can stop them from doing that, that's a big development for Democrats. We want to go back and look at Georgia because, again, and Joy was just talking about this, the suburban support for Democrats in this Atlanta metro area. Something interesting is happening. There are some suburban counties here. You call them kind of the emerging suburbs of the Atlanta metro area, where the growth is the fastest, and the diversification is the most dramatic. And that is definitely where Harris is posting improvements tonight. I think we showed you Douglas County a few minutes ago. Again, rapid growth here. It's about half black. And you can see in 2020, 25 points. Tonight, Harris is winning this by 32 points. You see it in Rockdale County. Just about all of the vote is in here. Biden got 70%. Harris has pushed that up to 73. This is a majority black county. You can go to Newton County here. You know, this was the tightest margin of all these Atlanta metro counties. This was the tightest margin for a county that Democrats won almost all in 2020. Almost all the vote is in. Harris has improved on it. You see this. You could take a look at Henry County. Almost 80% of the vote is in. Again, Biden won it by 20. Look at that. That's up to 30 or so for Kamala Harris. So the thing is, though, the counties I just showed you within this Atlanta metro region, relatively speaking, these are the lesser populated counties. The ones with the huge, the huge populations, you start with Fulton County. And we've been monitoring this. This is the biggest. Atlanta's here, but there's also a lot of suburbs within Fulton County. This is key for Democrats because of the sheer size of Fulton County. A drop of a couple points here would more than offset the gains that I just showed you in those other counties. 80% counted in Fulton County, and now you see Biden 72.6 in 2020. Harris has fallen a tick below that. Meanwhile, Trump 26.2 here in 2020 is a tick above his 2020 number. The concerning thing for Democrats here in massive Fulton County is with only 80% counted, there is still a significant, obviously, amount of same-day vote to come in. And you just saw, if you were watching earlier, this has gotten a little bit tighter. The Democrats have dropped a little bit since the last time we looked at this. That's because more same-day came in, and Harris fell below that Biden number. There's room for her to drop further here. And again, you know, just 1-2 points in Fulton County offsets a lot of the good Democrats might have done themselves in those other counties I just showed you. So see what happens there. We also have, look at this. Douglas, Cobb County, we also have, look at this, getting close in Cobb County. Again, take a look at 2020 here. Joe Biden won this by 14 points. Now, right now, it's basically a 15-point margin. This is another one where that margin for Democrats was bigger earlier. It's come down as more same day has come in. And you know, Cobb is a massive, massive county. Again, it's much bigger than any of those others that I just showed you. 82%, more same day to come. That's concerning for Democrats if it starts dropping below that. And then Gwinnett County, this is the one that's been the slow one here in the region tonight. We're still where we were. So there's sort of a division here we're seeing between these suburban and metro counties here. Again, there's some clear Democratic growth, but they don't want slippage in those big ones as the remaining vote comes in. And again, just checking in, we showed you Cherokee. These are the big Republican sort of fringe Atlanta metro counties. Here's one, Forsyth County, where Trump is clearly has improved, I should say, a bit from 2020, a point higher than 2020. You can go over to Paulding County, though. This is interesting. Again, core Republican area, fast growing. Dallas, Georgia is here. 29 points for Trump last time around, down to 24. So again, that's a feather in the Democrats' cap right there in Paulding County, bringing that Trump number down further. And finally, we close out on this. We're basically done in Fayette County. We ID'd this one at the start of the night as, look, if Democrats were actually flipping this, they are definitely having a good night in Georgia. Looks like they're going to come short. Harris has made progress here in his big suburban county here. Harris has made progress from 7 points, now sitting at 3 points. But is that progress enough for Democrats?
Fascinating and so down to the wire. All right, we are coming up on a poll closing at 10 p.m. We're just about under 10 seconds now until 10 p.m.
All right. Well, there's the latest. John Peter Preston says Kornacki is annoying. I don't agree with that. I think he's fascinating. I think he's just is unbelievable.
He is. He really is. Hey guys, I hate to cut it short, but I do have to run. I've got an early morning.
You go, Jefferson. It's good seeing you. We're just hitting the 2-hour mark. So if we're not going to get JG back, we're probably going to call it ourselves.
Yep. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, Jefferson, thanks for coming out. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was good seeing you guys, and nice to be able to sit and talk for a little bit. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right. Keep your fingers crossed for tonight.
Yep. You take care.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
All right. I have not heard from JG. He lives on a farmhouse, so it's quite possible his internet installed. So, all right. Well, listen, guys, it is now 10 o'clock, and I think we will call it for the night and go and watch on our own. Go drinking and pray and pray to whatever gods you pray to, that the country is safe in the morning. So yes, the 10 o'clock curfew. Yeah, we got cats and dogs that we got to take care of here. So
yep.
We got work to do. But listen, everyone, thanks for coming out. That was great. That was a lot of fun. If you don't agree with us on our political leanings, God bless you. That's the beauty of the United States. You don't have to, but we do appreciate you all coming out and sharing, and hopefully we all learn a little bit about something or each other. So thank you, Crystal. Good having you on the stream for a change.
Yeah, I know.
We'll do it again.
Rare. We'll do it again.
All right, everyone. As always, live long and prosper, and we'll be back probably. Maybe this Saturday or Sunday. We'll see, and we'll let you know. What's that?
We'll see how tomorrow works out.
There you go. All right, guys. You guys take care. Thanks so much for coming out. We'll see you soon.